I generally think it's good advice that first dates need to be cheap to free. I think if someone is spending more than $50 on a first date, that to me says you're kind of irresponsible. It's like you're gambling before you even know what the card game is.
I've been on a date that was $250 was my first date.
That's crazy.
How was it?
It was, well, he was the real estate agent in my fancy building, so he could afford it.
Okay. But yeah, if I get to the end of the date and you're a black man and you tell me to split, I'm not talking to you ever again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
Do you feel like that's a bit too much to put on to culture, like solely?
Well, okay, so in the context where I'm
black
like, okay, maybe someone of a different race poses that idea to me and I'm, you know.
Too much.
It's okay to have.
I just, like.
Joe shared a view in his questionnaire. The first date should be 50-50. It removes obligation and performance. It's not about being cheap. It's about neutralizing expectations. Nobody owes anyone anything, not another date, not attention, not energy. It's just two people seeing if there's a vibe. Joe, would you like to elaborate?
Elaborate,
Sure.
Joe.
I mean, that was a longer sentence than I think I said, but I just think in an ideal world, we're trying to move towards equality on all levels, right? And I think if you start a relationship with someone with one person owing the other person, even something as small as dinner, it has to come out somewhere along the line in the relationship. That expectation has to be balanced out some way. And I just think it's crazy to expect someone you don't know to already owe you something, because then they're going to expect you to owe them something back. I just think it starts things off on a weird foot. And I think that there's no other relationship in your life, like if you were meeting a new friend, there's no other situation in which you would expect the other person to pay for you or you would be expected to pay for them.
But the dynamic is different.
Piggybacking off of what she said, the dynamics are different, but I do believe that a man actually paying for the first date, it does set the tone for how the relationship is to be led if she is a woman that's going to be able to listen and follow to his leadership. But in that same breath, I do understand that a lot of women today aren't traditional women anymore. And in the same breath, I understand that women's standards are way too high for the average man today. I think that they should be more simplistic. I don't think it should be off the charts. You have to find out first if the person is actually worthy for you spending money on before you start dishing it out, because people do not appreciate what is just given to them. They appreciate it when it's actually earned.
It is different, but I think it should start from as neutral a place as possible.
Yeah, both genders. Like if I date a woman, like who's gonna do that? You know, it's like, what's the reasoning behind the man only? The only reason I would say is because of the gender reparations. That's the only way that I would like.
What do you mean by gender reparations?
There's a pay gap. So I would be like, okay, there's a pay gap. So it's like you're giving back. So that's my only reasoning.
You should pay for dinner because you get paid more in life.
That's the only reasoning of that. But I agree with that. Or
if you already got a mindset like that to say that something is based on gender reparations, I think you already cooked in the head. She's going to be difficult because she's already putting label. Nobody's ever said anything about gender reparations. This is something that she came up with. She's going to have that preconceived notion in her head, and she's going to cook out her future situationships or relationships because nobody wants to hear that. Nobody goes into it thinking like that.
You talk about who makes more money, and then you can decide the splitting of, because women can make more money than the man. Does that mean the man needs to pay more? Like, and then I also don't agree, like, why? Like, it's literally like, why is the man paying? It's all a level of the patriarchy. And how do we dismantle that if we're, like, how are women becoming equal if the man is still the one expected to make more money, expected to do the funds and stuff?
Michael, how would you respond to that? Being as you shared earlier that in a previous episode that you don't mind paying if you ask first on a date.
No, I don't mind paying.
This brother's introverted.
But elaborate, like in response to what she just said, she doesn't understand why men pay or why they're expected to pay.
I mean, that's, like you said, it was a gender norm.
Yeah, that is the reasoning.
In previous, like in history, men were naturally more of a provider. Like they would go out and get like hunter-gatherers. They like we'd go out and hunt, and then we'd bring back what we caught or whatever. So it's kind of like the same kind of situation. Like if we're making the money and we can afford to provide this dinner or etc., that we would just.
I don't think those are synonymous, to be
Yeah,
honest.
hunter-gatherer.
And also there was women hunter and gatherers
Yes,
back
there
then.
were. There were.
Yeah.
Hold on now. When we go further back, we understand that the roles were broken down even heavier to where you had more men that were hunters, more women that were gatherers. Modern times now, both can do the exact same thing. But the thing about feminine women are leaving out the door. You see a lot of these young women, they preaching only equality. They want to be on the same level as a man. They don't even care about the dynamic of a man coming in and having the leadership skills to be the guy that's basically going to be the one that's trying to move their family to the future.
And the existence of that, I'm just saying that like, if there was a norm that was set up.
Yeah, that's the reasoning, the patriarchy.
That's the reasoning why I'm okay paying if I can afford to pay.
I did want to go back to what Joa said. In terms of when you do initially go on that first date, how do you propose that being the standard that you set then?
I want to know this.
Like you go on the date,
That's so true.
And those are your beliefs or your ideals. How do you set that up for the other person to
Did
receive
you do that with
it?
your girlfriend?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Okay.
I truly don't remember.
No, that is a good question,
It was a
'cause the
while.
women
It was
in
a
it.
while ago.
Yeah.
So I don't want to. I'm not saying I've definitely paid for dates before. It's
Sure.
not like I'm not going to be a dick about it during the date. But the thing is that I generally think it's good advice that first dates need to be cheap to free. And I understand that some
Yes.
people
I agree.
disagree and some people, want a fancy date for the first time. But I think if someone is spending more than $50 on a first date, that to me says you're kind of irresponsible.
Preach. This young Asian man is preaching, bruh. You are irresponsible if you spending that much goddamn money, because especially if you don't know somebody. Now, if you know somebody and y'all done been talking to each other for a while and you happen to want to up the ante, okay. But if you are fresh, newly meeting someone, don't do it. It's goofy. I'm gonna have to question your character. When I hear guys say stuff like that, I gotta question his character as to how he handle his money, because he obviously don't care.
Because it means you don't know who the other person is, but you're still just based on their looks or whatever, you're deciding like, this is, I don't know who you are, but you're worth $50. Which, aside from the slightly demeaning aspect of it, it's also just like, you have no clue what is going to happen here.
Right.
Like, why do you think...
Irresponsible is hilarious.
I just think like financially,
That makes sense.
Like,
if it's a
if
first
you
date, you don't know who it is, you don't know
Yeah.
if you're going to connect, and you're already going to put down money.
Yeah. Do
It's
you
like
think it's
you're
more-
gambling before you even know what the card game is.
The Asians are logical.
I think it becomes a little bit more performative if it's a fancier date.
Well, yeah. Well, because I think a fancier date, you're not in a situation where you're trying to get to know the other person. You're in a situation where you're trying to show off for the other person.
Unless
Or
they're
the other
rich.
person wants, is trying to express that they want a certain kind of environment. But either way, the date no longer becomes about, okay, I want to get to know you and I want us to talk. It becomes about, all right, I want someone who's going to fill this kind of role, whether for the man or the woman. And so, yeah, I think
That
the whole
is
thing becomes
so
more
real.
performative.
I've been on a
So-
date that was $250 was my first date.
That's crazy.
That is
Oh, no.
crazy.
How was it?
250.
How was it?
It was
They paid for it, right?
Bruh, let's continue.
Yeah, well, he was the real estate agent in my fancy building, so he could afford it. Like, it was like,
Well, what if also
Sounds like the relationship didn't last. She just said he was the real estate agent in the building. He could afford it, but it sounds like that went nowhere. So that man just out $250. Granted, you can afford it, but why should I still do it if I know it's not going to lead me where I actually want to go? And you could tell her personality, she's going to push away a lot of guys. I could just see it in her.
they
was
just make that much like they make so
Exactly.
much money where it's like
That's his
paying
standard.
more than $50 is not that deep for them.
And
You know
it
how you
wasn't.
keep that money? You don't
You know
spend
what?
it like
and
crazy.
that's why I like people like you. I like people like you.
This brother going to have a legit family.
yeah. But then that was an
financially-
expectation that I was the person that's always gonna, and he's the one that does that, and and that's what I'm not attracted to that. He's too.
But also, like in the dates,
Hold on, she said he was too much, but she actually appreciated the fact that he was willing to spend the $250. That makes no sense.
feel like $250 expectations were set on you.
Like, did you feel pressure to like have to do anything because he spent so much money on you?
No.
No. Okay.
But
don't
maybe
care.
that's because I'm just so like I will take my fist and shove it up you. You know what I mean?
Which
So
hole?
maybe
He
it's
could have
just
wanted
me.
that. You don't know. We don't know
That
this
is
guy.
true.
That's why the date should be as low as possible.
Well, I don't think equality exists between men and women as much as we try. I mean, and this is not to say that I don't think women should have the same rights as men. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying naturally, as women and as men, we're just different naturally,
Like
right?
there are different
Yes.
rules that still
Yeah, like
still exist.
women have babies and men don't have babies.
But
so
what
it's
does that
like,
have to do with money?
I'm just saying, like in general, we're not the same.
No.
So it's like, and it doesn't mean that women shouldn't get paid as much as men. I'm just saying, because you had brought up the idea of like splitting on a first date, like it's kind of like we want equality between men and women, but then we're coming in and like the scale is kind
It's
of
already
imbalanced,
uneven.
right? But it's
It
like
is.
that's naturally
How?
always going to be the case because that's how relationships work, right?
For sure.
Like in the
This is no accountability on choice. The career that you in, the path that you chose in life, you can't keep blaming that to saying that men just always make more than women. You have to stay at job. You have to climb up ladders. You have to be built a certain way. Sometimes some of y'all don't fit in the roles that y'all actually in. And then sometimes y'all get into places where the money might not be as high. I know women that make a whole bunch of money at a lot of big companies. They had to learn how to play the game. Guess what? It's a lot of guys who never made it up that ladder as well because they don't know how to play the game. We can't still keep blaming it in the world today where women can get the exact same jobs as men. We can't keep using that as a talking point.
general cultural sense, like men are the hunters when it comes to like courting the woman. Men have to court the woman, right? So in that scenario, at least back then, right? It's usually like, what is it? Survival of the fittest. Whoever's the best man wins, right? So whoever's like putting their best foot forward. So it's like,
But that's not biology though.
how's that not biology?
No,
I
because-
actually read something.
Yeah,
like
part of it is socialization, but it is informed. What you're saying is like,
Biology, like literally the ducks and the like animals, they be like.
But innately, it's not biology that men are more assertive and women are more submissive. That's not a fact. And
well, I mean, I didn't necessarily say that
That's
women
not what
are
I
more
understood
assertive
from
or
you.
but
submissive.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, just
So I don't know the point she's trying to make, but men are built different. Once we hit puberty, the bone structure, the density of the bones, the muscle structure, way different. So that by and large, we're going to do different things when it comes down to how we manipulate the elements.
men, they usually are courting the woman.
Yeah,
Because of the
I kind of
patriarchy,
What would
though.
you?
No, I think I kind of agree. I, in that sense, do think that men should typically pay. I'm not opposed to paying. Like, I've paid for full dates. I've split the bill, even in the beginning of my relationship, all the way up to now. But in the first date, it's like, I do want to be courted or wooed a little bit. And that's not to say that I want someone to spend a lot. My first date was a day in New York, and we took the subway, we walked around, we got like a little bit of sushi that may have been, giving us a food poisoning, but it was fun, and we walked around Central Park.
Street sushi is crazy. I'm not mad at the cheap date that she's talking about.
Like, he showed me around New York because I had just moved here, and that created a basis. And if we had met later, like if I was gonna meet someone new, like I wouldn't want a fancy date, but I would still want to be paid for, at least the first date to be paid for. Again, with the caveat that I'm still willing to pay for other dates if the relationship continues.
I can appreciate that. I would like to say though, just for the record, men also want to be courted. I know it's not a thing that like comes up
I
often.
totally get that. That's
Exactly.
why I'm like, I'm totally okay
Men's
with paying
feelings
for a
matter
date
too.
as well.
Men's
No.
lives
I'm
matter.
not going men's rights activist. That's
No,
not where I'm
men's
going.
lives matter, man.
There are
he
certain
is.
roles, and yes, some of it is because of history and the patriarchy, and other are just kind of like what we fall into, because there's never going to be true full equality, even though for things like salary, it could definitely be.
Yeah.
So would you go on a second date with someone who asked to split the bill?
I would think about
1000%.
it. It's not a definitive no. Like the 50-50 wouldn't be the decisive factor in me being like, oh, you know what? I may or may not consider it.
For me personally, like, no.
No. That would be a red flag.
Yeah, for first date, nah.
It's like a phenomenal
Oh
date.
man.
Like
so
it's
wait,
a
so
great
so
guy.
like lovely, amazing date, right?
Like
Yeah.
love of your life. You're literally like, this is the one.
Like you're like,
The reason why I'm not mad at that is because if he's asking you to go on a date and then he asks you to split the bill, that's crazy because somebody asks you to go on the date, granted, yes, you could say no, but usually in that moment you probably feel like you're getting courted. So I would think the guy or whoever asks should possibly be willing to pay.
Chef's kiss.
B1.
And then at the end, he's like,
let's split because
Go
this is
Dutch.
how, because he
like, you
thinks
see how
how
he
him.
said it? You see how it sounded? You see how it sounded? Like
I can
immediately, my brain has
definitely see how
turned
it
off.
might
I don't
be a
like him
little
anymore.
Off-putting, but would
And it's
you be
okay
like, oh, you know
to
what?
like
not-
what you
not
want.
Wait, is
no.
that how you asked, Joey? You never
No,
answered.
no, no. Shut up.
I actually want to know, like, how do you ask that? Because I've never even experienced that, so I don't know.
Before the date.
I also think cultural context matters.
Absolutely.
So
expand.
I will. So I am Nigerian American. So culturally, there's an understanding that the man usually pays for, like things like the first date, right?
Yeah.
So that's also what I've grown up with.
Yeah.
And like if I'll date like other Nigerian guys or even just like maybe West African as well, that cultural norm is already set and there.
Yeah.
So that's why, so when I say, like when you ask me, would I date someone that asks me to go 50-50, this is if somebody that within my culture asks me to go 50-50, then I would say no, because it's already a cultural norm. So that's how I know that's a red flag, because what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Now, if no, there's no situation.
Well, in what culture is it not?
There's no
Tried to
situation.
give it a chance
There's
for
no
a second,
situation.
and I thought of
So
something.
now, if I was someone like Joa, right? I know Joa's peoples, all right? They're really good, and there's no stereotype. She said I know Joa. Imagine. No, like, Asians are really great with money. I love it.
Oh, so you're really just looking at this man as a piggy bank. See, and it's nothing wrong with that. It goes down to how logical the guy is. But to now just say that, oh, it's based on more money, probably not the physical appeal or whatnot. But I mean, a lot of women kind of feel like this sometimes. They usually don't say it. But I want to hear what else she has to say.
Am I wrong?
No, that's fair.
No, y'all are really great, like really, really great with money. So now, if someone like Joa came along and said, you know, something, maybe let's say we met on a dating app, and it's the first thing you bring up to me, or like, you know, within conversation, because I usually do a FaceTime date if I'm like from a dating app. So let's say we're on FaceTime and then he brings it up like, hey, just so you know, like I would like if we can maybe either do something that's like, you know, maybe a walk in the park, or if we do go out, I would like to split just to manage costs and stuff. I'd be like,
No, she wouldn't.
okay, I can't
Like
really.
versus like finding out when you're
When
going to
I'm
pay.
on the
Yeah,
date,
yeah, I
yeah.
think that makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, before. I would
'Cause
say
you know
if
what
you're
you're
a man,
getting
you would have to say
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I can make a decision. I'd be like, okay, maybe.
That sounds good on camera, but I don't believe that she would actually agree to it. Still, women on dating apps are like on steroids because they get so many doggone options. They really just weaning out all the bad apples. So anything that would possibly give them the inclination to think about something, they probably just gonna swipe. And I think if a guy was to bring that up that early on, they would probably swipe because they're like, oh no, I don't like that already.
You're not.
Okay.
But yeah, if I get to the end of the date and you're a black man and you tell me to split, I'm not talking to you ever again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
Do you feel like that's
Wow.
a bit too much to put on to culture, like solely?
Well, okay, so in the context
She
where
said
I'm
black
like, okay,
man.
maybe someone of a different race poses that idea to me, and I'm, you know, if let's say somebody
Hold on now. She about to get herself in trouble because I think she said that if you're black, she would definitely eliminate. But if she's expounding, if it's another race, she's gonna give a pass. Let's see.
was within my culture also posed that idea to me from the beginning, would I be open to it? Because to your point, like people are different. Like I'm also Nigerian American, so I didn't grow up in Nigeria, right? I grew up in America, so there's also that type of
She nervous.
context, that informs my decisions and how I make choices.
She's talking too much.
It's okay to have.
I'm just a girl. Like I'm tired of being independent. I want to be wined and dined. I'm not asking for too much.
Yes.
It'll be
would
less
you
than
ever-
$50.
And it's okay.
The first date
Yeah.
is FaceTime, then
Yes.
this is probably like a third date, right?
Exactly, and then I will
Yeah.
gladly, if we continue on, I don't mind,
Yeah.
splurging on you and making you feel
Okay.
like
Cook
a
yourself.
king that he probably is. But it's
She just admitted that the men of her culture she has different standards on them than men outside of her culture. That's what she got at about the Asian guy explaining about how he has money. And if he was to say that he wanted to go 50-50, then she would think about it and would possibly be okay. But she said if more of a black man were to do it, she would not agree to it, which is crazy. And that lets you know what they say about how a lot of black women feel about black men sometimes. Not all, but the ones outside the culture get more of a pass on being more average and regular opposed to the ones in the culture. You have to be phenomenal. You have to be above and beyond to make her fancy tickle. But once she's ready to leave outside of the culture, it's okay with her kind of dropping the standards somewhere or just accepting certain things. The dress code, oh, he's white. Oh, he dressed like that. They don't dress like the brothers do, but the brother dressed like that. Oh, this is weird. He shouldn't be doing that. That's crazy as hell to me.
Like, until we're there, we're not there.
They see that because if you do the FaceTime date, does that not count as the first date?
No.
Because isn't that a free first date?
No, that's a pre-screening.
It is.
Well, I think that's why.
It really is.
I think that's why I think that like because that first date should be like that pre-screening of like I want to see who you are before I decide if we even want to try to date.
Facts.
I think in this day and age, for me at least, the pre-screening is like the FaceTime call, and then the first
Zoom interview.
It is.
And then
Crazy.
the first in-person meetup is okay. Technically, it is also kind of like a pre-screening as well, which is why you don't want to spend that much money. You want maybe to do something like a walk in the park or something.
But eventually down the line, you are open to splitting or you paying. It's just that first.
She's not open to that.
Or no,
That's not what she said.
I said what I said.
That's not what she said.
I'm asking, like, or not.
No, yeah, eventually.
On his birthday, maybe. I'm sorry, I'm putting words in your mouth.
And it's okay to have what you like.
Yeah,
You like
yeah.
what you like.
No,
That's your business.
at some point for sure.
That's your business.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, if love isn't...
I think I'm gonna leave it right there. I don't know, this topic on the script, love was not about money. Why does it come up? Let's continue.
It's supposed to be about money, then why does it keep coming up?
The performance of love that we're taught involves money. A lot of it involves
Money
money.
makes the world go around.
Factuals. Yes, but also, so the performance of love involves money. Outside of performance of love, your life itself, bro, like it costs money. If you don't want to talk about money, then this is also like regular people conversation. There are people outside a certain like tax bracket where like
It's not a problem.
the money is not a problem. Like they're not having
all
these
of my
conversations,
friends.
right?
Yeah.
So these are like the fact that these are conversations for the working class people says a lot,
Yeah.
you know. But then also the way we've come to teach each other about how we talk about money in relationships has also changed because of social media. Because like there are certain people who don't want to function in a relationship that they maybe would have been okay with if they weren't already exposed to certain like ideals that people have kind of made the standard, right? So some people now take it on as a personal failing if the finance.
I'm gonna leave it right there, y'all. I don't want to listen to any more of it because I feel like y'all can listen to the rest of it in its entirety. A lot of this stuff has become performative. You know, the act of dating, the act of putting up an image, pulling out the best qualities of yourself on the first date. You can't be yourself anymore, man, sometimes. That's why I think, and the people who end up latching towards each other and they end up lasting, I value that a whole lot more than some of these performative first dates. Going out just for the experience, just for the vibe or whatnot. Man, it's going to take a lot more than that to really survive and thrive throughout time together with someone, because as a unit, you are going to be stronger than solo. I don't care where you put it at. All these, I don't mind being single, being alone, that is a lie. You definitely will do better if you're with someone throughout life till the end. You can handle the finances better. You can handle the family better. So the dynamics of just being single, then dating and courting, I think the key is finding people that's more simplistic. It's going to become harder trying to get people that's simplistic to stay on the same level, because as we already know in time, people are becoming less simplistic throughout everything that we're seeing, we're taught, we're re-engineered to want. But once you can really internalize and understand how relationships really work, where you have a balance of emotions, you're going to have a balance of energy, a balance of everything. And sometimes it's going to be imbalance, and one person might have to add more than the other person is going to have to add. But how can y'all really come together and make it happen? And it's possible. We see a lot of these relationships, they're not perfect, but they still lasting and working. Now, if you just want to live the single lifestyle, I'm not mad at it. It's gonna be up to you. You're gonna have to choose where you wanna lay your bed at. And if you okay with being single through the rest of your life and always being in and out of situationships, not having real sturdy foundation or people around you, that's gonna be the consequences of what you got to deal with when you get older. But time is of the essence, and time is the only thing that's really of value. So I know we don't really think about it no more, because see, that's what's good at the United States, is that we pull up this veil, this facade that we can live a certain lifestyle and think that that's what's going to get us through the rest of life. But once you start effing away that time, you start realizing, like, I messed up. That's what starts happening. And you start seeing where you didn't value your time, and now you're trying to value it later on, and then you're going to fight a little bit harder. Your engine got more miles on it, the whole nine. You are going to have to fight a little bit harder. I know plenty of people where their mind opened up at, like, in their mid to late 40s. You already almost 50. Life is almost over, just being honest. I know a lot of people dying in their 50s. Like, people are leaving in their 50s. You don't have much time. So you have to make sure that you are adding the time early on. You have to make sure that you are applying it in the right locations and areas. That's the only way it's going to work. But I'll have this link in the description so y'all can watch it in its entirety. Make sure y'all like the video, comment below. This is your guy JayBReacts, and until next time, y'all, peace.